I wouldn't have changed a thing about my life. And I feel blessed in every way. And all those little experiences are what make you who you are, right? In terms of toughening you up or resilience. I talk a lot about agency. Um, I really believe that that's a core characteristic that you can develop like a muscle. It's agency, which is basically the ability to take massive action without permission. And some people got it, some people don't. But the good news is you can develop it. And you don't have to be, none of us we're all born with a certain amount of it, but like because of culturally or family wise or whatever, some people, it's kind of stymied or, it's not developed like a muscle. Um, and so, I think that's really important.
Wow, your
Yeah.
story is kind of like Joseph of the Bible,
Oh, oh yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
and that's a blessing. I mean,
And you know how how that story ends when his brothers stand before him
yes,
and they're afraid that, oh my God, he's going to kill us. Um, and he says, no, what uh, what the devil meant for evil, God used for good, right? And even through this tragic situation, now he's in a place where he can bless his family, right? Through because of the drought and because of his providence and favor with the Pharaoh. Not only did God use that tragic situation of his brothers selling him into slavery to save their family one day, but also the whole nation of Israel ended up there. Now, they stayed there too long, became slaves. That's a whole nother story, but
yes, yes. I
yes,
agree. I agree. I agree. Wow.
yeah,
And it's just awesome to hear you, at least a little bit outside the cyber, a little bit
yeah,
of
yeah,
Christianity there.
yeah, absolutely. I'm first and foremost a Christian. Everything else falls in line.
I'm,
Next,
I'm I'm trying
next,
my best. I'm
yeah,
trying my
next I'm
best.
a husband. Uh, Next I'm a father. Next I'm a cyber expert and all the other things in my life. I'm a pilot. I'm a sailor. I'm a lot of other things, but that's the order. And as long as you get that order right, then things work out better. When you get that order wrong, that's when trouble happens. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So what have you been working on? I noticed, you're still making progress in the
Yeah.
AI. Tell me about that. How are you enjoying that?
Well, actually, I kind of enjoy it because obviously, um, nowadays we hear so much about the AI, and also, to be honest with you, I'm in another group here that's kind of like more on the AI stuff. So I really want to combine, in a sense, the AI and the security, like yourself, like what you've
Mhm.
said, because
Yeah,
there's so many holes in it right now.
yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, my dog is.
Ah, no worries. No worries.
So basically, what I'm trying to do, as I
Yeah,
explained to you, I'm kind of helping out my parents right now. I'm a nurse. I had to give up that nursing. So I basically lost a lot financially. So I'm trying to, as you say, be a founder in, probably this is going to be the next thing that I can
yeah,
see, AI and cybersecurity,
yeah,
because uh, as you also have said, go the harder route. And most people
yeah,
probably will not
yeah.
traverse this route.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Well,
So
therein lies the opportunity.
yes, yes. And with all the chaos and everything that we see, I think this will be
Yeah,
where we can strike.
yeah,
Excuse me for the word, but basically
yeah.
that's
No, I
what
understand.
that's where the gap is for us.
Yeah. So look, Dennis said we might have talked about this before. I'm getting old. You have to forgive me. Um, have you looked into healthcare informatics?
Actually, I did not, because I'll be honest with you. I tried to be more of, like I said, a founder. I don't want to be an employee anymore.
Yeah, I
I'm
hear
too
you
old.
there.
I'm 60 years old.
Yeah. I,
And okay, I know. Elizabeth is here. She's probably a nurse. She can confirm this. There's just too much bureaucracy and all these things. In fact, my brothers are nurses too, and I hear from them, like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
just give you a situation. Like my brother, he's one of the house supervisors in one of the hospitals. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of his co-supervisor was sick.
Yeah.
Now, he was forced to go to work, okay, for an
Yeah.
extra day. But you know what they did? His normal days, they took out one of his normal days
Yeah.
and told him, you're just going to go in for those 2 days. In other words, they tricked him. Instead of giving him
Yeah.
overtime,
Yeah.
now he's not. So, and all these other things, I'm sure we all understand. Whether you're in government, whether you're in whatever, if you're
Yeah.
not your own boss, it's just crazy.
Yeah. No, hey, 100% on that. What's interesting though is because of AI now, you have leverage that you otherwise wouldn't have had to become a founder, but not only a founder, a real business owner. Um, Pardon me, my 160-pound bull mastiff is woken up. He's been
Oh,
snoring over here. Okay, he's going
don't
back to
worry.
sleep.
We all have
I thought
those.
I thought he was walking, trying to get out the door. I had to let him out the door. Sometimes he'll bust through the door. But where I was going with that was, what's interesting about that is like, Zuckerberg, well, like, Sam Altman has made a claim that someday he believes that there'll be a one-person billionaire business built
Yes.
with AI, and he has kind of a running bet with his rich friends, like when it will happen. And they think like in the next year or so, someone's going to create $1 billion business by themselves with AI. And what's also interesting about that, I'll share with you something that along those lines that's kind of interesting. Let me show you. Let's see. You ask, or I mean, I would ask then, what would that look like? I thought I had that. Ta-da. Maybe I don't. So, do you watch or do you follow this guy? Oh, what's his name? Yeah, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so essentially, you would have, you know, where I'm going with all that is we humans
Hmm.
are becoming more directors than managers, right?
Yes.
In my day job, I have a presentation that's coming up on AI and leadership, and I've already built it. By the way, I used AI to build it. I use Gamma, that tool
Gamma.
I've shared
Yes.
maybe with you guys. It's amazing. In 5 minutes, I built like a whole leadership brief and then
Wow.
went in and tweaked
Awesome.
it. But the idea is we are becoming, the puppeteers of these agents if we're smart. And many people are sleeping on that opportunity. And that's why I'm kind of going all in on the founder, secure AI founder bend. Because, of course, here's the catch. Everybody now, this is the first language in history, first programming language in history that's made in English,
Yes. Yes. And that's
right?
the awesome part.
Yeah. So, yeah, you've got some learning to do, like, but the cool thing is AI would teach you. Like, it's the only technology, I heard this today when I was out walking, listening to a stream. It's the only technology in the world that gets better the more you use it. Think about that. There's no other technology out there that gets better when you use it. So like electricity, it doesn't get better when you use it. It depletes, right? No, but AI
Yes.
gets stronger the more you use it. The more humans engage with it, the more it gets trained in that feedback loop, and the better it gets, the smarter it gets. And ultimately, what's happening is um, we're getting to the point where you can spin up, a business idea in a matter of days when it would have taken you months or years. So that's really exciting for somebody like you and I that are kind of, on the back end of our career, like, you know, whereas like you wonder, like otherwise without AI, do you really have it in you to go off and start this business? It's going to take you 3 to 5 years to see anything out of it. Whereas now you could spin this thing up in 3 to 5 days and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, you learned a ton. And by the way, the next time you can do it in like 2 days, and then the next time you can do it in one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because all those skills are reusable and they compound. It's
Yes.
one of the it's one of the hacks that I've kind of discovered is that skills, high value skills, time saving skills compound like interest, right? And
Yes.
and and that's true, right? And so the more you learn, the more it becomes like a feedback loop. So you're the second time you do it, you're much faster at it, right? And you've got some tricks now, and before you know it, I'm busily building out like things that will ultimately buy back my time. And I might not have said it in this form, I've said it in others. I believe my mission is to free up more time to do what? To serve him by serving others, right? And that's my mission in life. That's why I do what I do, why I do so many things that I do, because I feel like I'm wasting time and I'm not serving him as much as I could. And I see the best way to serve him is by serving others, so that I would be a reflection of him to others, right?
Yes.
And so what better than AI is like the ultimate cheat code to make that happen, right? And so, what are some practical steps? You know, and I would ask you, like, and Beth, evaluate your day. Keep a journal if you have to, of like what you did throughout the day, what challenges you faced, what problems you had to overcome. Make a note of those. Open up your iPhone or whatever, Apple Notes is
Mhm.
free, and do that for a couple of days, and then to ask yourself and start to train yourself and sit with this for a bit, that what would it look like if I were to use AI first throughout the day? First, not second, third, or after thinking about it or banging my head against the wall. Like, what if I were to use AI first and get some ideas, and then what? Like, how would that change my life, right? How would it help me come up with new creative solutions that would buy back time or whatever the situation is? And I think we're whoever becomes AI first wins, right? Because and that's in all aspects of our personal life, but also professional life. You know, recently our pastor, was going to put out some guidance, and he asked for. I'm an elder at our church, and he asked for my opinion on it. And so, of course, I have an opinion just when I read it, but I said, you know what? Let me see what my friend Claude thinks about it.
Claude.
And I literally just copy pasted it into Claude, and I said, hey, evaluating this doctrinal statement at our church, can you check it for consistency, errors, internal conflict, anything that could be, incorrect? And it went and looked up all the verses. It knew all the stuff. It said, yeah, this is all solid, doctrinally sound. However, there's a couple of weaknesses here, and it kind of pointed out some things and some counter arguments to it and stuff. So I sent it all back to the pastor and said, hey, just in case you're curious, this is how good AI is right now. Like, and you know, um, AI first, AI first is where I'm at. You know, um, so I offer that to you guys as your whatever journey you end up taking, employee, employer. I'll be honest with you. I think about this a lot lately. That I've had many companies, and And I've had the biggest one I had was 15 employees, and I could tell you that was that was a challenge. In fact, that's why I sold the company, because it was to the size where I couldn't do it all myself anymore. Now, as I look back at it, I should have just hired some people to kind of run it, and then I could have enjoyed life a little better. But I didn't know any better, so I sold it, and I did well. I'm not complaining. It was like a six-figure exit. Um, but you know, what's interesting about that is you can build this AI startup these days and not need employees.
Mm-hmm.
Employees, honestly, you know, bring you headaches. Employees need time off. They need, they need things. And, hey, God bless them. Like, we need employees, at least for now. But like, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, like it sounds like you do, the opportunity now is to build a business that is so automated from the ground up that you don't even need a single employee besides yourself. How exciting that is.
Yeah.
Um, for a few $100, maybe, if you're smart, less than $100 a month, you could run this business, you know, um, and from the ground up, build the processes. Like, so the way to think about that is like what Elon and these guys do. Elon's been quoted said that, the prototype is easy. Building the factory is almost infinitely harder. And so the idea is build the machine that builds the machine, right? So if you're going to think about building a business with AI, uh, you know, and doing it securely, whatever that looks like, think about the processes that would be need to be in place that could be automated on day one, so that you build the machine that actually delivers the service.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like our traditional bent would be that, okay, you go out and you find all this freelance work and you do it yourself. Okay, what you did was you just created a job for yourself, and you're the employee, right? I don't know if you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
The four
that book
quadrants.
changed my life.
Yes.
And many years, like 30 years ago, I think I got my hands on that book when it first came out. And you know, you know, our whole education system is built to make us into employees.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's true, right? The whole
Yes.
school system is made to make you into employees. When you go to college, you're trained to be managers of employees. And then there are also some professions like doctors and stuff, but guess what they end up being? Like employees in their self-employed business, or they work for a firm of doctors or whatever, and they're still employees, right? The difference between that, like the E, as he would say, employee, the S, which is self-employed, and the true B, which is a real business, is leverage. Leverage meaning you don't have to be there and you
Mm-hmm.
still get paid. Now, what better leverage is there if you are the person who builds the machine that builds the machine, and you no longer have to be there? You just kind of come in and make sure those bots are still running. I'll tell you a funny story. Like right now, we got Nimi on here. Nimi's my trusted assistant. He and Beth have been with me almost since day one when I stood up this group a year and a half ago. And Nimi's in there every day posting. You see that,
Yes.
and we've got a paid group, and he supports there too. And in that paid group, we needed a people have issues with Try Hack Me, right? Which is
Yeah.
on the traditional cyber side. And so Try Hack Me is this thing where, it's an incredible lab, and you can learn everything you need to be in cyber in there. I'm convinced of that. And I've kind of curated a path or multiple paths through that and content. And that's what the advanced course about, which is available here for free. But in the paid course, we put people on a schedule so that they have more accountability, and we meet every week. In fact, after this, I'll meet with that team, and they're working at various stages of the process to become employees. Um, So with that, you have to master all these hands-on labs, which are high-value skills. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the challenge with that is like you get stuck. Okay. Now, naturally, they want my help to get unstuck, and I'm happy to give that. The problem is that ultimately you get to a point where, in giving the assistance, you don't want to give the answer because if you give the answer, there's only one time you can experience the joy of getting that answer right. And if I give you the answer to the lab, then I've robbed you of that joy and I've robbed you of the learning experience. And you get a small dopamine hit, but you don't get the real one because you didn't do it on your own. So a far better solution is to have somebody, use the Socratic method and actually elicit questions out of you, see where you're at, meet you where you're at, and then take you to the finish line, but not across the finish line. So what Nimi was able to do, I asked him to go out and find all these write-ups for Try Hack Me. And he went and found hundreds of them. And across the whole internet, scoured the internet and GitHub and stuff, found all these write-ups where people wrote the solutions to these labs. And so then what I did was I trained a AI bot to do what's called retrieval augmented generation, RAG.
Rag, rag.
And basically what this AI bot will do then is it'll take you all the way up to the point. It'll ask you what lab you're in. It'll ask you what you know about it, and then it'll start to teach you about the steps. But it
Mm,
knows the answer, but I've also told it not to give the answer.
mm,
Okay, so the system prompt that I gave it was very explicit. Look, you know all of this stuff, you know how to answer these, but I don't want you to rob the student of the joy of learning that. I want you to take them all the way up to it and let them get the final steps. And so that's what the bot does. And I call it Nimi AI. And so my point in bringing that up, and I'll show it to you here in a second. My point in bringing that all up is that thing's working right now as we speak.
mm.
For all I know, somebody could be in there typing to that. Where Nimi's on this call, I'm on this call. Like we're not answering those questions anymore.
Right.
I have another bot in there called Dr. Harper AI, and it's basically been trained on everything I've publicly said, like because I've been on a lot of X spaces and stuff. So I took all those transcripts and I trained the bot up. It knows about that I was adopted. It knows I was raised poor. Everything that I said at the beginning of this call, it already knows. So if you ask it about me, like it'll tell you, right? It knows that I've been at security conferences and won hacking competitions, for example. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's see here. Okay.
Oh, wow.
No, no,
It's an
no, wait a second.
outline.
No, that's not it. Hold on a second. Okay. Um, all right. So here's what it looks like. Okay. So
Is that kind of a Discord or something?
yeah, this is Discord. Yeah. So by the way, we have a free Discord channel and we have a paid one.
Ah,
In other words, the paid group, they have access to me and others that are in that paid group. So so we have a try hack me help room here,
mm,
right? So you could see people here talking to about it. So this is Nimi, who's on this meeting with us right now. But like a couple of days ago, Nimi AI was in this conversation. So one of our members said hello, and Nimi AI remembers previous conversations.
uh,
So like she could come back. This person's Esther. She could come back like a month later and say, "Hey, I want to pick up this conversation." Like he remembers all that. And if you already told her the answer, like he'll say, "Remember last time we spoke." Right. So right here, he's saying hi again because he knows this person. I'm here to help you with Try Hack Me Labs. Which specific one are you talking about? And so she says, "Tell me about iDoor." And he says, "Ah," and he starts talking. And he says, "Before we dive deeper, let me ask: have you encountered situations where you're changing numbers and URLs?" He's using Socratic method. He's pulling he's trying to figure out where she's at, right? And so she says, oh, number one, and they're having this conversation, right? And so this is the way this thing works, 24/7. Now I have another one over here that's where I hang out. My AI bot hangs out, and the same person came over here and asked about the same topic. Now I keep these bots out of the same room because they start talking to each other,
Mhm.
and that's annoying. So they don't know that they're bots. So yeah, so that's funny. So like this thing's working 24/7 too, right? And look, this one actually gave a code example of how this thing works, right? And so sometimes I'll come in here and just kind of check on it and see and make sure it's asking the right thing. So right here, I'll just say, uh, Dr. Harper, AI, um, were you raised with wealth?
Mhm.
Yep, right here. No, I wasn't raised with wealth. Dr. Harper, whose knowledge and expertise I'm based on, came from a middle class background and built his career through education, hard work, blah, blah, blah. It taught me the value of continuous learning and professional development. So it's been trained on me.
Mhm.
It's pretty darn good. But anyway, so this is a business kind of concept here. I'm sharing with you, like, this is how I'm running my business is through automation. So the things I tell you here are like I eat my own dog food, right? Like this is I'm automating myself out of a job someday, because so I can serve him more by serving others more,
Mhm.
and I think I think that's a worthy cause.
Definitely. I mean, many of us want to get there, but the path is very difficult.
Yeah,
It's just like the Bible says. Many are ways, but sometimes you don't find the way.
yeah.
But
You know,
this is a way, right?
yeah. There's a let me find something else for you real quick. That'll kind of, since we're talking about this, that'll help you. Hold on, let me let my dog out. Come on, Xander. He's a big boy, 160 pounds.
Ooh, what do
It's
you
gonna,
feed him? That
uh,
must be a lot of feed.
no, no, he gets 2 cups of food a day, 1 cup in the morning and 1 cup in the evening. You'd think
Really?
he
That's
was,
it?
you'd think he was starving to death. Yeah, but he's 160 pounds. If we fed him more, he'd be bigger. um, Give me a second here. Automating.
Well, thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Um, okay, hold on a second. Automation. No, average. Where is this thing? Okay. I think
Excuse me.
work plan. I think I'm looking. Yeah, I had to probably show it another time. I have this mind map that I've built that kind of shows. I think Beth and Nimi have seen it. It basically I did an inventory of everything I do throughout the week, basically,
Mm,
for my business and then, personal life. So it's got spiritual stuff in there. It's got physical stuff. But I encourage people to do that. Like, do an inventory.
mm-hmm.
Use a mind mapping tool. Like, I like Miro is a good one. And what that'll allow you to do is kind of, oh, here it is, bots plan. Yep, here it is. Okay, hold on. I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. Um, you can come up with a plan to create bots to automate parts of your life. This is part of what we were talking about before.
Mm,
We all need a why. My why is this. But here's a premise that I have that I believe is true, that we all have a certain amount of free time wherever you're at on this thing. And over time, you'd like to get more free time. Like that's built into us, right? And the question is, what are you going to do with that free time? I already know what I'm going to do with it. But um, so the goal then is to relentlessly automate so that we get more free time. Okay. So this is kind of some things, this is the way I operate. Like these are my interest, you know, hobbies,
mm-hmm.
if you will, personal business interest.
Yes.
This is work that I'm doing to accomplish those interests. And then down here is where I want to get to, where everything's autonomous bots. So I already showed you like the autonomous social bots, right?
Yes.
And I'm working on various other bots. Like I've written crypto bots. I haven't messed with them lately, but like I have autonomous crypto bots on the blockchain that are like trading. They're not, but like, um, so I have like I use automation. I try to use it in all facets of my life because everything is heading down toward the autonomous AI agents. So then what
Mm-hmm.
I did was I took a look at my daily processes, right? So like I learn, I'm on YouTube and these different things all the time. I store stuff in notes tools. I'm listening. Um, I'm doing social media. Lately doing YouTube videos. That's a very time consuming thing. Mentoring, coding, personal growth,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, financial, portfolio advising. Like I'm a board member on several companies, and so I'm involved with that. And then I have my day job, right? So all like that's,
Wow.
60 hours a week, on my day job. And then this other stuff fills in all the other time when I'm not sleeping,
How?
right? So, so
So
the
many.
idea then is each one of these, I've imagined bots that could help me do these. And then the goal is just to start ticking these things off. But I'm also always looking for tools that exist that can actually do this stuff, that I don't have to write them. Like I can write the bots, but like that takes time too. So I would far rather spend, $50 or $100 a month or whatever to automate half of these things. And then, so I'm always experimenting with tools that can do that. Some cool ones out there right now are Lindy. You guys heard of Lindy AI?
Lindy.
Yeah. Lindy.ai is a really cool automation tool. Um, there's something I signed up for that I can't wait until it comes. It's called oh, what's it called? um, Warm Breeze.
Warm breeze.
Wait a
Wow.
second, I think that's it. AI. No, Warm Wind. Yeah, check this thing out. It's an autonomous cloud employee, and you basically, it's a browser based thing, but you train it, you let it watch you, like, and you give it access to your emails and stuff, and it will then start to be able to do everything that you can do throughout the day. And so they call this an AI operating system. So like
Hmm.
I'm very interested in things like this for all these reasons we've been talking about, like getting time back, right?
Yes.
Now
Yes.
there's some risk in this. we're a cyber channel, right? So like, you know, what are the risks involved and what is the benefit? And then what can you do to mitigate the risk, right? Because there is no such thing as living without risk. If you do, you'll be living in a cave somewhere, and even that's risky. Uh, so but there are things you can do to put in place, like you can segregate some of these things, to where maybe it doesn't get access to your personal finance stuff, but it gets access to your business stuff, and to where you can kind of segment these things. One cool tool that I've learned and have been using, I know Nimi's been playing with, is called Agent Zero.
Agent
That's
Zero.
Yeah, that's another really cool tool. Agent Zero.ai. And what it does is it runs in a Docker container, and you don't have to know too much about that because they have like a 5-minute video of how to get it up and running. And you just need to be running Docker on your machine, whether it be Windows or Mac. Like I run Mac, but Agent Zero is like an incredible personal agent that will basically, it'll do coding for you, it'll manage your schedule for you, it'll do whatever you ask it to do. It'll convert a PDF to a whatever, or it will it'll get the weather somewhere for you. Whatever you ask it to do, it'll do, and it's a lot of it's free. And what you can do is you can hook it up to you bring your own keys basically. So you can hook it up to any of the models like Anthropic or OpenGPT or OpenAI. But what I prefer to do when it comes to models is use something called Open Router. So Open Router
I think you have that
AI.
in the Vive video you had, right? Or something.
Yeah. What's that?
Isn't that on your Vive code?
Yeah,
You
I
had an
probably mentioned it
explanation.
somewhere. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you looking
Okay.
at those. So Open Router is basically, as its name implies, it's an open router of AI, to where you can get one API key here, and then you can just switch the models. And you can click here on the models link, and they'll show you all the models that they're running, and they show you the prices of them. So let's just say you only want free models. What you can do is you can bring us down to free.
Ah,
Uh, does it let you do that? Well, these are the free to almost free. But what you can do is you can look over here, okay, and you can see the free ones. So, for example, a lot of people don't know that Google's best model right now is free. It's called Gemini 2.5 Flash. But spoiler alert, it's not as good as Claude 4.0 Sonnet. Um, it's maybe 90% as good. And if what you're doing, that might be good enough. And it's
mm,
free. And Nimi's a master at finding the free AI models and stuff. Just ask him.
okay.
Um, and then if you don't mind, there's a lot of Chinese models that are free. And so if you're budget constrained and you want to, take a little bit of risk, so what would that risk be? Like, it's this whole thing about China. Like, what are they doing with all this data that you're putting in there?
Mhm.
Well, eventually they're feeding it to their TikTok algorithm and stuff and making our kids dumber. That's what they're doing. And we don't seem to mind. We lap it up, right? So, um, you know, what I find funny is, the Chinese don't let their own citizens watch TikTok. They have a version of it that is purely for educational content and stuff. That's what their kids are watching.
Mm.
They're not sitting there all day scrolling. They won't let them do it, but they'll gladly let our kids do it, you know. And we sit there and just take it, And but what are the Chinese up to, man? I mean, they're on a several 100-year plan, right? They're on like a 1,000-year plan.
Yes.
In our country, we're on a 4-year plan, maybe 2 years, and because of our political cycles, that's as far as we can see. These guys see thousands years,
Oh,
and
sorry.
they're just taking steps, and getting there, and we're just playing along. But anyway, the point is that for free, you can do a tremendous amount out there. Um, and that's incredible. By the way, all these models are racing to free. Like eventually this will be like oxygen. Like
Mm,
what
yes.
I think will happen, or at least this is what Sam Altman thinks will happen. He's much smarter than me. The founder of OpenAI said that he thinks he sees a day where everyone will be allotted a certain amount of tokens,
Mm,
and you could do whatever you want with those tokens. You can build a business, you can build art, you can write code, you can play games with it, or you can trade it and sell it. And there'll be dealers that would brokers that will like harvest these things off people and sell them in big batches to bigger companies that need more tokens. That's an interesting concept. And so the future of economy, like this will be like currency.
yeah.
But he
Okay.
sees it. He sees a day where like everyone will be given like an allotment of tokens.
Mm,
Like you'll get 1 billion tokens a year or whatever. Use them however you like. And isn't that's kind of crazy thought, isn't it?
yes.
I what's really crazy? What's really crazy about it is if you think about like how that levels the playing field with somebody like Nimi, who's from like Nigeria, right? Like that's mind blowing, right? That he can
Yes.
build a business, he can compete. And by the way, he's really good in cyber. Anybody out there listening? Yeah, he's really good at cyber. He's a well-trained penetration tester, very skilled. He's also a coder, all self-taught. Incredible. And think about those high income paying skills in a place like where he's living. Like that's incredible. That's mind blowing.
Yes. Yes.
We
That.
have a lot. We have a lot of people in our group that are from Nigeria and other places where this is the ultimate game changer, right? This now all of a sudden you can go from being a an NPC, a non-player character, to a primary character, a in the game. So there's a lot of NPCs walking around, like just like zombies, right? And they're just walking around bumping into walls and stuff, right? But then there's real characters, like first person characters in the game. And all
Yes.
of a sudden now with AI, you can catch that AI dragon by the tail, and you can become, a real person character instead of a, non-person character. Um, that's exciting. That's exciting to me
Yeah.
to see
Definitely.
it happen. You know,
Well, I'm hopeful. Like I told you, I expressed to you that I think this is the new thing. This is going to be the new thing. You're both cyber and AI. You got
yeah,
those two. You're you're set because
yeah,
you're going to be the one who's not being commanded. You are the one commanding them.
yeah.
You
Directing.
directly.
Eventually, they're going to wake up and realize, oh crap, this stuff's insecure.
And there are many statistics. I don't know if it's here or somewhere else. I saw that most executives they're using it, right?
Oh
But
yeah,
like 80%
77%.
or or 80% are actually or more is not secured. So
Yeah,
that's where you come in. So that there's your gap right there.
yeah, 100%, 100%. What's sad about it though, Dennis, I'll just be honest with you, is that because my dissertation was about this. To become a PhD, I wrote a dissertation on the Internet of Things, which was the big thing
Oh
before
yes.
AI.
Yeah.
I thought a decade ago that we would be having a conversation right now about these little bots running around like the Internet of Things, like your smart TV, your smart fridge. No one
Yes.
cares. Boy, was I wrong about that. So I wrote my whole dissertation about the name of it was The Impact of Security Awareness on the Adoption of the Internet of Things.
Hmm.
And my theory was I used what's called a technology acceptance model, or TAM, or there was another one called a UTOT, that I basically did a quantitative study, and I know best into quantitative. And I did a several hundred question survey to a couple thousand people, and I was convinced going into it that, hey, as they become aware of security issues, they're going to be more less eager to adopt these smart fridges and toothbrushes and all this stuff. And it turns out there's no statistical correlation between security awareness and technology adoption. None.
Mm.
Um, and why is that? Well, then I had to go on to finish the paper and write, why is that? Well, it turns out that we humans trade our privacy and our security daily for convenience.
Hmm. That's true.
And just look at the big news. Like, you remember when Target got hacked, and we
Mhm.
thought, oh my goodness, like everybody's credit cards that ever been to Target had been compromised, and we all were
Yes.
going around trying to get credit alerts and stuff.
Yes.
And you think, man, they're going to be out of business like in the next month. Target's still alive. Like,
Yeah.
like that's all the proof you need right there. Now, so we're talking about the general consumer, but still, businesses will need to protect this data, or they will take the hit to the bottom line. They'll bounce back like Target, but boy, did that hurt them when that happened. So they spend tens of millions of dollars to keep that from happening again. And therein lies the opportunity. It's at the business level, consulting with businesses.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I'm leery of going B2C with this kind of stuff because I already know consumers don't care, man.
Hmm.
Consumers don't care. I'll tell you another quick story. Beth knows this. A couple years ago, I built an app called Seclude.me.
Mm.
And the idea was, I found these APIs online where I could buy people's data, and I could, through some of these APIs, I could have the data removed. So what a novel concept. Like, that if you went and Googled your name, you will find like your address and all this stuff, right?
Right. Right.
Who you voted for, all this stuff, right? Well, that
Yeah.
stuff's bought and sold on through what's called data brokers. And there's about a dozen of them, big ones, and there's two or three that are like monsters, and they buy and sell to each other. And even if you delete it off one, then like they'll get it back like later. But there's laws in the place that in the US that say that if you request that a data broker remove your data, they have like 30 days to remove it. It's a law, or you could sue them. So there are APIs out there that these brokers make convenient for people to delete their data. Just no one knows about it. So I built an app that would do that for you. So you would go to this app. I shut it down because I was so ticked off about the whole thing. I wish I could just demo it to you. I shut it down about 2 years ago. Um, and I spent about a year building this app where you could go there, you could put in some basic information like your name and your current city that you're in. And it would come up with like a list of these people, and then you would say, yeah, that's me. You click on it, and then it would show you all data that it found. Like, okay, here's where you went to high school, here's your parents' name, like, here's who you voted for. Like, it showed all that. And then you would hit this button to say, delete this data. It was as simple as that. Like, isn't that a brilliant concept, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
I built it, man. Turns out no one cared. I was selling it for $10 a month, man. I couldn't sell. I sold like 3 copies of it. Like, no one cared. I was all over Facebook. I was buying all these ads. I spent tens of thousands of dollars promoting it.
Oh.
No one
Oh.
cared, man. No one cared. No one cared. People won't spend $10 a month to delete their data from the internet. Now, today, there's another company out there doing it, and I've seen a couple others pop up. I'm like, good luck, man. I see them advertising and stuff. I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Like, I tried it. Like, people don't care. They
Hmm.
just don't. Consumers don't care. Businesses care,
Of course,
right?
because it's always their bottom line, right?
Yeah. But
And I'm
consumers,
sure,
they
yeah,
just
I'm
don't
sure,
care.
like, yeah, healthcare, where
Yeah.
Beth and myself are,
Yeah.
that is the big kahuna right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
this
if
this this comes to, I know, what brought you to this community was the issue with your was your
my mom,
mom,
yeah,
with the issue with scamming. Well,
yes,
look, so here's the challenge with that. You might be inclined to think, okay, well, I'll build an app that will help seniors or whatever, right?
hmm
And you might in the end become frustrated that like they won't spend the $20 a month to do it. You're gonna have to
Ex-
give the thing away for free. And guess what? People don't like things that are free either because so it's kind of like, man, like, look, I've got the app like that will help protect you. Like,
in fact, I mean, a step further than that, I would tell my mom, okay, don't answer those calls anymore. You know, it's a different thing,
yeah,
and she still somehow, because I guess, older folks like them, they don't recognize a person as opposed to a machine.
yeah,
When the voice comes, like there's that little delay, and then
yeah,
you hear this
yeah. That's right. That's called an
automated
auto
thing.
dialer. Yeah, yeah, because that machine is dialed 1,000 people and they're waiting for whoever to pick up, and then they get the next bot or person in line. And if
Yes.
those people are all busy, then you get a delay.
Yeah.
And some people sit there and wait for the delay. Now, I used to have this thing called Robo Killer on my phone, and what it would do is it would answer those things, and it would say like Donald Trump's voice, "Hello," and then it would start like talking to them, and they would say, "Yes, I'm, looking forward to sell you to, a car warranty," and they'd say, "A car warranty?" It was all AI. They would say, "Hold on a second," and they'd put the phone down for like a minute, and then come back and say, "You still there?" And the point of it was to bait the people in and hold them for as long as you could so that they wouldn't be off talking to other people.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a reverse honeypot, which is a cyber concept, which is interesting. We could talk about honeypot someday, but which is like a bait system, right? To where
Mm.
you bait people in. It's kind of like a cyber concept. What we do is we put honeypots out in the corporate network, which are
Mhm.
like cyber traps, like mouse traps. They're fake systems. Their only purpose in life is if you touch them, you're probably a bad guy because nobody even knows that they exist in the company.
Mhm.
So, as a cyber guy, what I do is I put these digital mouse traps out in the network, like put a couple out in the DMZ, put a couple in the internal network, put
Right.
one over by the CEO's office. And if somebody touches that thing, like just even reaches out over the network and touches it, then I say, okay, we might have a bad guy in the network because my
Mm.
mouse trap just went off. And so we call those honeypots. It's a whole fascinating concept in of itself. It falls under a broader category called deception. We use deception to trick an attacker and confuse them long enough so that they sit still so that we can actually catch them.
Wow.
And
Very interesting.
and that's a biblical concept, as strange as it sounds as well. You remember Gideon and the Midianites,
Yes, yes.
and how they surrounded the Midianites on the ridge, and they
Uh-huh.
broke the lanterns, and the Midianites turned on themselves and all killed each other because they thought they were surrounded. It was really just a couple hundred
Yeah.
Israelis, right? So deception in warfare is as old as warfare. And so somebody once asked me, like, I thought you're a Christian, like, what are you into, like, deceiving or lying to the bad guys? Like, have you read about Gideon and the Midianites? So it's funny.
Wow. Well, there's
Beth,
a
what have
lot
you
of
been?
lessons also in the Bible.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot there.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, look, Dennis, I enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, let me
You know,
just ask you a couple of quick questions before
yeah,
we leave. I'm right now finishing up the AI Cyber 30-day thing. So
yeah,
I'm right now on the vibe coding, right?
yeah.
So I'm on the deep learning, and I'm trying to do that right now. I was just a little bit overwhelmed because there were on the side, code stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I should skip that for now. Just try to
Well,
do the vibe coding thing, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, do vibe coding, and that'll take you so far, but eventually you're going to have to learn a little code. Um, the good news is there's not a lot that you have to learn, but work through that training.
Okay.
My point of all that is just to expose you in 30 days as
Hmm.
best you can be exposed for free. In my other paid group, which you'll find in my bio on Skool, you'll see that I have another Skool group. This is different than the other paid group I just told you about. And what
Uh-huh.
we do is we focus on AI founders, And what we're talking about there is how to leverage the vibe coding securely.
Mhm.
And we have people in there starting their own businesses and building apps and stuff. And what you'll learn in all of that is that the good news is that if you wield AI properly, it'll help you secure it, which is frustrating because you think, to this AI tool, like you tell it to run a security review and it comes back with all these issues. You're thinking, you wrote this code. Like, why did you write it if you knew all this stuff?
Mhm.
And it comes back to this old adage, like, the father tells his son, like, um, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know. Right. So, right.
Yeah.
So you have to know what to ask the AI and how to ask it. And I'm gonna have a series of videos coming out on that soon. But you'll find more of that info. But look, vibe coding, I think, is where it's at, particularly if you want to be an entrepreneur in this space.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's going to be a mountain of people coming, and you're early. So therein lies the opportunity. But eventually, some of this coding will wear off on you. The beautiful thing is you can ask AI to say, "Tell me, what is that stuff over there? Like, what is all that code? Explain it to me." So, like, I'm 5, so I'll understand it, and it'll start
Mhm.
to explain it to you. And then the next time you see it, it's not so intimidating. See,
Mm.
that's the key. It's about exposure,
Yeah.
right? Don't let it frustrate you. Yeah, put it aside for now, move on, but come back to that. And the
Mhm.
next time you look at it, you'll get a little bit more curious. You're like, tell me about that. And when you look at it again, you won't have to ask it because you'll know. And that's the key, right? That's the key. Never stop learning. All right. Well, hey, look, I got to run, Dennis. I
Okay.
got others
Thank
waiting for me in the other
thank you,
group.
doctor.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
hopefully I could speak to you again.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. See you next time or chat with me in the group. All
Okay.
right. See you.
Thank you. Have a blessed weekend. And
You too.
what is it? Labor Day.
Labor Day. Yeah. Be blessed. Buy the
Okay.
best. All right.
God bless. Thank you. Bye.